Hello out there and welcome. My name is Sharon Froshin. I am the Chief Operating Officer for the Discover Your PathU platform, where we believe that every life can teach and everyone can grow. To that end, I am also the host of this show, The Connection Sessions, where we bring together practitioners, entrepreneurs, artists, marketers, spiritualists, mentors, and students from a wide array of industries to connect to community and to grow together. So with me today, I am super excited about having Sondra Turnbull, who is one of the women that I truly look up to in my life as just this bastion of presence and kindness. She is an author, she's a publisher, she's a practitioner, a therapist, she leads meditations. She's just an all-around juicy, nummy kind of woman who does all kinds of amazing stuff that she shares with the rest of the world. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, Sondra, who you are, what you do, how you got into this, as well as anything you'd like to share with us about your new line of books.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on this show, Sharon. I love all of our conversations, and this was just another opportunity to get into a nice juicy one with you.
Yes.
So yes, I'm Sondra Turnbull from the Goddess Kindled universe, which is a magical ecosystem that I've created basically as a place that I could put all of the things that I create, all of the magic that I stir up. And so I'm a holistic therapist going back like 25 years now, starting with guided meditation, through Reiki, through EFT, through some of the more modern modalities, which I have discovered are actually part of my old modalities like NLP and CBT and that kind of stuff, which is very interesting to discover. And so I've been practicing, as a therapist, counselor, and guide for a really long time. And then once my kids grew up and I had some time, I had the opportunity to write. Now, I've always been a writer, a journaler, and I've got half-started manuscripts in drawers all over the world. I can say all over the world now because I'm from Australia and I live in the Netherlands, so I've scattered a trail of manuscripts behind me. And I had the chance to actually get down and do it. And so I started writing. And because of the stuff that I write, it's kind of a particular bent, and I really didn't want to be I didn't want to have to censor myself, and I didn't want to have to dance to anyone else's tune when it came to crafting my stories and my work. And so I became a publisher also. And then so from that I went into podcasting to get my voice out there, because as it happens, I like to talk. I like to talk a lot. And everything was it's sort of everything weaves together and ties into the next thing, flows into the next thing, flows into the next thing. And so the meditations I produce them in audio form now and publish those as well through my publishing house.
Wow.
And everything ties into the things that I write. The writing ties into the meditation. Both of those things tie into the podcasting that I do, and the therapy that I offer to not a huge number of people, because my time is really limited because I'm doing so much other stuff. But so I've come from the therapies into this creative world, and then the therapy is still there, but each thing feeds into the other, making it greater and making it more powerful. So everything, I don't know, it is an ecosystem. It's a magical ecosystem, and I'm in the center of it, and just weaving my little web. It's wonderful.
It is indeed a wonderful web to get caught in. Would you mind sharing with us any of the details about the Embodying Earth series?
So the Embodying Earth series is, it started with an experiential guide. So this is a little bit of a story. So the first book that I started writing was a magical realism novel. And the idea that I had for this series of novels was the magic of the elements. because I'm a total witch. I'm a total witch. I love looking out the window, watching the seasons turn, and there is so much magic right there in front of my eyes.
Yes.
And so to me, writing what is called in the genre, the list of genres, it would be termed magical realism.
Mm-hmm.
It's real magic to me. And so
Indeed.
I find it quite easy to write about, because the stuff that people might call fantasy or make believe is real. It's part of my life and my everyday. And so I started writing this series of novels. And then out of the first novel, I thought, well, there's so much magic here that people could learn how to live, to know themselves better, to open up to themselves and to get into those deeper places, just like my character is doing. So I was being the therapist for my character, and I thought, well, this would be so great for other people. And so I pulled all the magic out of the novel, and from that I made an outline and I wrote this experiential guide. And so basically it's a way to hold yourself through really, really deep work, shadow work and spiritual work and contemplation and kindness.
Wow. That is indeed deep. One of the things that I love most about talking to you is that you're somebody who truly understands, and not just understands, but embodies the cycles that we go through in life, not only as a writer and not only as a therapist and a Reiki practitioner, but also as a woman, that you honor the fact that not everything can be up here, that in the wheel of karma, in the wheel of life, you have to come back down to come back around again. And so many people spend so much time trying to stay up here because they're afraid of down here, that they are never truly able to understand and fully absorb the heights of the top of the wheel, because they won't experience the bottom of the wheel.
Yep.
So what are some of the experiences in your own life that led you to being so comfortable with this series of cycles?
I have truly walked my talk. I have truly, truly walked my talk. And so I tried to stay at the center. So you talk about staying at the top and want to be at the bottom. I tried to stay at the center for like nearly 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it totally broke me. And in the end, it took me totally breaking my life and virtually restarting myself from a place of nothing. And it wasn't even a restart from a place of nothing. It was allowing myself to go down into the bottom of the cycle, to take the underworld journey willingly that I have been resisting for decades. Not swearing. I'm a bit of a swearer, sorry.
Go right ahead.
So it took me leaving my marriage and moving to the other side of the world, away from my family, away from my two daughters, and you know, I think that it could, depending on what perspective you were looking at me from, you might have thought I had completely lost my mind or completely woken up. You might have thought that I was the most courageous being on the face of the planet, or I was the most cowardly. I was all of those things at once. And I really, really let myself go down. Well, let myself. It took a few years to get there because I still had that resistance, but at least I was out of the center and I was into the cycle again.
Yes.
And I was starting to learn how it felt to have like just a mild at the top and down the bottom. And so it's not just a wheel. The cycle is not just a wheel, it's a spiral. And so I started to spiral out from the center where I'd been holding myself.
Where it's safe.
Where it's safe, safe. And started to spiral out. And then once you get out, once I got out big enough, I started coming back in again.
Yes.
This really intimate heart of me, and getting really to know this person that I'd never, ever, ever met before. Not really.
Yeah.
So that's how I came to write the things I write, because it's not just therapy for my characters, it's therapy for me. It's me walking myself through my own story.
Which is what makes it so incredibly powerful, of course. I love your dedication to, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, and I don't think you're actually capable of doing that. You're willing to completely invest in your mistakes. You're willing to completely invest in the experience of having made the mistake, being a part of the mistake, and then fixing the mistake. But what most people often do is they make a mistake, they fix a mistake, and then they forget the third part of it, which is returning to the community with the story of that mistake. Because if we don't do that, if we don't come back to our circle of friends, to our family, to the people that we love, and share our experience, then there's a greater likelihood that those same people are going to go make that same mistake. And we get to learn from each other and grow. So I love your willingness to tell your story, to be present for who and what you are, and also to come back and share that with your community.
Well, even that has been that's been a process. That's not something that just comes. I've always been a talker, but now when I talk, I'm listening to what I say. I'm not saying something to escape from what I think.
Oh, I feel that down in my toes.
Because we not only have physical masks and, postures, we have verbal patterns that we run through, that we feel safe inside of, that have worked for us before, that have kept us,
I do. And it's not just our dedication to our own individual patterns and to talking about our own individual patterns. It's that dedication to being open to the fact that right, wrong, good, bad, who knows? Maybe the experience of another person that I have judged for a long period of time is just the universe carefully, quietly, and lovingly extending me a lesson in their life, but that my judgment, okay, that's wrong, immediately shuts that lesson down. And I love how, especially like in the A Course in Miracles discussion that we have on Mondays through Nourish Your World, how the depth of those conversations drives us into even more beautiful revelations of who we are and who we could be as a result of that willingness to look.
Exactly. And so for everything that we think is a mistake and every willingness we have to own that mistake, what I ultimately come to is that there wasn't a mistake. Mm-hmm. It's just what happened, and what I take away from that.
Yes. Andrea says that she so loves listening to you, when I would have to agree with her.
Well, back at you, sweetheart. I love listening to your croon. You have this crooning voice.
Does she not?
Oh my goodness, she sings to me.
Yes. So I hope you don't mind if I talk about some of the discussions that we've had in ACIM.
Go for it.
I love how this last week we had this discussion about the divine feminine in A Course in Miracles, and how you were struggling with placing yourself into the idea of God and the Son of God. Like if we change that to goddess and daughter, that you were struggling with that lack of worthiness to put yourself there and to stand in that. So since we're like a week out from that, how has this last week been, and what have you come to discover as a result after that conversation?
So what I've come to discover is that I'm going to do an experiment, and I'm going to record each lesson, switching out all of the pronouns for feminine pronouns, because I need to understand why I feel this way. And so this is an example of how all of my work relates to all of the other parts of my work. I have this conversation on Mondays. We're in a year-long workshop for A Course in Miracles, where we're studying one lesson every day, and really, oh my God, when we open the class for next year, if it's something that you're interested in, having deep conversations and really peeling the layers away, I encourage you to come on in. I'll put some sort of sign up in Nourish Your World. So if you're a member of Nourish Your World, you'll find out about it. So there you go. And so because it doesn't exist, and because I'm struggling with this thing, I'm going to create something to understand why.
I love that. I love it. Sarah Whalen, who you know pretty well, is going to be, she actually comes to a lot of the ACIM discussions, and she'll be on the show later on this week. I was talking to her this weekend about how I'm noticing on the other side of an 8-year relationship, how anxious, that's okay. That's okay. Take your time. How anxious I was to give away all of the love and the support and the, dare I say, worship that I deserve to another woman, so that I could still be that person that loves and adores and worships, but then wouldn't have to work on myself on the receiving end of that. And Sarah came up with this amazing idea of me coming into a Zoom room like this and recording myself talking to myself in that same way. And it's actually a month-long exercise I'm going to be starting in Discover Yourself, which is the self-help portion of the DiscoverYourPathU platform. And I love that it seems like you and I are always in one way or another, like right on the same.
It's wonderful, you know.
It
I
really
feel
is.
I go, what's going on, Sharon?
But it's that whole thing of, especially in our own voice, because as women, we're taught growing up that really it's vain to have that kind of pleasure or presence in your body, that having sexual pleasure is not okay, that there's 101 different messages that we as women get. But especially for people like you and I, and I'll include Andrea in this as well, people who have that magical voice that can just pull someone into an experience, we don't give ourselves that same ability to experience us talking to us. And I believe that, and Beth Gray is watching as well. Hey, Beth. Beth is another one of those women that is able to, with her voice, pull someone into a deeper level of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And it's great to have other people do it for you, but at the same time, allowing yourself to experience that from your own lips, the depth of that kind of power and the ability to stay present for it is so transformational.
I've been doing an exercise in the mirror lately. I'm an EFT therapist, you know, a billion other things that I do. And so I've been doing EFT therapy for myself for a really long time. I'm great at doing it with other people, but it's a different kind of process when I'm working with someone else to when I'm working with myself. Because very often I don't say things out loud, you know, it's in my mind, to go through the motions. So I've started doing it in front of the mirror and speaking to myself in the mirror the way that I would speak to a client. And it is so profoundly different, and I feel held, and I am shifting and moving in ways that I have not before. And I understand now somewhat what my clients must feel when they have that crack and sink into those moments where you just blast yourself open, because I'm getting on myself in the mirror. It's astonishing.
I've been doing the same thing where in the mirror I will, and that's how Sarah and I got into this conversation, was I was telling her, oh, I've been doing this practice in the mirror. And she was like, oh my gosh, you want to take it to a new level? And that's when she gave me this idea about actually recording myself. But isn't it interesting how when we do this with ourselves in the mirror, we instantaneously cross that, some call it blasted, some call it beloved veil, where we are no longer the object of our own criticism. We are now the object of our own love.
Absolutely. And it's, mirror magic.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic.
It's gorgeous.
Especially, and you know, when I first got sober in the homeless program that I was in, they would have you do these mirror exercises, and they would always say, now you have to make eye contact while you're doing it. And I'd be like, no, I'll get in the mirror and I'll say it. I'll look at my shoulder or something, but I'm not going to make eye contact. But when you actually settle into that eye contact and to being with yourself, experiencing yourself and doing it with love rather than critiquing, the power that comes back out of that experience is just amazing.
And you want to know another level of power with
yes, please.
eye contact? Okay, so that's powerful with yourself in the mirror, and that's incredibly safe. It's you with you.
Yeah.
Like safe to a certain extent. when you take that out into the world and walk through the world with to the people that you meet and the people that you have conversations with, and use that same kind of connection, not looking here, not looking there, not looking here, not looking here, and looking and seeing. It takes away, it strips away any need to have an answer ready.
It sure does.
You know, because, you know, we do that, don't we? Okay, they're saying something. What do I say next? And it's terrifying and it's beautiful. And bugger me if you will not go through your life on the verge of tears because your heart is so open.
Yes.
You start doing this kind of stuff.
And that ability to be present. I just want to really quickly say hi to Steve and Paul. Thank you guys for joining us. I know that in my own life, you know, when I got sober, I had no home that was my own. I had nothing to my name and no one that wanted to see me coming. And one of the most transformational experiences for somebody who is homeless and on the streets is more than money, more than food, is to make eye contact, to just look me in the eye and acknowledge that I exist, acknowledge that I'm not another piece of trash blowing along the sidewalk in front of you, acknowledge my humanity. And it's amazing how many people, not even people that are homeless, just people on the street, that when you look them dead in the eye and say good morning or how are you, or even simple compliments like that jacket looks amazing on you, it's like somebody has hit them upside the head with a 2x4. They really do not know what to do with that level of intimacy. And you're so correct. It is transformational for you and for them.
People think intimacy is all about sex.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. I can't be farther from the truth.
Indeed.
Intimacy is about being present for yourself first. And that then ripples out into the world around you, and you are able then to be intimate with everyone because you know that it's another level of you. It's another layer of you that you're confronting all the time.
Yes. And that's, you know, I've been really engrossed in Alan Watts lately. And this morning I was listening to one of his books called Thusness. And he talks about how so often in life, a vehicle of transportation like religion or any belief system that is intended to take us from one shore, say the shore of samsara, to the shore of nirvana, it's just the vehicle. We're not supposed to take this with us through the rest of our life. Religion or spirituality is to take us to the next level, but then we have this tendency we get over to the other side and we're more attached to the boat than we are to getting to the other side. So we ride back and forth. We just keep riding back and forth between samsara and nirvana, samsara and nirvana.
Don't get anywhere.
Yeah, and then wonder, well, how come I haven't achieved this yet? And it's because we hold on to the beads, the meditation, the saying the right thing at the right time, going to the right building, believing in the right thing, rather than understanding that it's all a vehicle to understanding that you are the universe. Yeah. You are God in form.
And learning is wonderful. Like, I'm a sponge. I will soak up all the learning. I will dive into something and want to know everything about it. And then I know it and I go on to the next thing. And I take the parts of it with me that are useful to me then, and I let the rest go. And it might be that I go back, go around in the spiral again and pick it up and pick up some extra threads on the way through that were not valuable to me last time, but now are crucial to the next place that I want to go. So it's not about when something doesn't work for you, just keep in mind that it's not working for you now.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that it won't at a later time.
Yeah.
And I think that we as a society get so caught up in this idea of there's a progression. There's schooling and then practice and then success. Without the understanding that literally everything that has ever been known, ever, is available to anyone at any time if we tap into it. There is nothing new under the sun. And this idea that I need to go to school for 8 years and have somebody else shape me into their idea of what I should be so that I can be the best me makes absolutely no sense. And yet we dedicate ourselves to, I got to work hard, I got to work hard, I got to work hard. And the whole time our higher self is, will you just let me breathe?
Well, I must have been listening to some part of my higher self, because I didn't do anything the way that I was supposed to.
Me either. Me either. I'm like the rebel for a long time without a cause. Now I actually have one. But for the longest time, it was like if you told me to go right, I was automatically going to go left.
Well, I've had a cause for the longest time, but I've allowed other people to tell me what I should be doing and what was sensible and what would be financially viable. And that was the thing that was most worth doing.
It was safe.
That was safe. And I was miserable.
Yeah. Indeed. And we do that to ourselves. We box ourselves into this teeny tiny little conception on the parts of other people of what we should be, and then wonder why we feel like we have gutted ourselves.
Because we have.
Yeah. My Lord, we have.
Yep.
That's why, like, my personal coaching style is I am never the kind of coach that's going to help you become what you aren't right now. I am always the kind of coach that's going to help you unbecome what you are right now, because that's where all the magic is. When we unbecome our parents' expectations, when we unbecome society's expectations and get back to that seed, that childlike seed of where I came from and what I came into this world to do, it's amazing the transformation that happens in a person's life.
And exactly. And so in the same way that if someone comes to me for therapy, I'm a holistic therapist, you come to me, you don't come to me and say, I want this therapy or this therapy or this therapy. You don't select from a menu. You come to me for therapy.
Yeah.
And you give me the recipe when you start talking. And when I start understanding where you are, and when I begin to see the threads and see the little web split out from you, and you give me the map, you give me the ingredients and the proportions that I need to use for you, so that I can take you to where you don't even know you need to go.
Indeed.
And you can spend as long as you like getting there, as much time as you need in there, and go back there and try again and try again, and know that you are never wrong.
Yes.
And you can't do your life wrong. You just can't.
No, I forget who it was. Oh God, I'm sorry, whoever it was that said this to me, but last week somebody said to me that you cannot conceive of something that is not you. And it's true. There is nothing that we can conceive of that doesn't have its roots somewhere in who and what we are.
Yep. Exactly right. And it's all terrifying. And so, yeah, it's my job to help you not be so terrified of you. And that's what my entire body of work is for.
And you do an absolutely amazing job at it. Really quickly, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Galit. Thank you so much for joining us. We are at the end of the interview today, Sondra. I could interview you every day for the rest of my life and die happy, but it is the end of this particular interview. I am so grateful to you for coming on and being willing to share who you are and what you do with the viewers, because honestly, it's delicious magic. Are there any parting words you'd like to share with everyone who's watching?
Oh, darlings, don't be scared. Dive in. Check out all of the things that I have available. There's lots of free stuff, meditations and things to read and places to go and communities to come in and share your deepest, darkest, most beautiful self with. Check out the links that Sharon will give you.
There are links in this particular Facebook Live. If you look above us, there are links to Sondra's website, to her Facebook page, to her Instagram, Twitter account. So there's No excuse for not getting in there and getting some of this yummy goodness. If you are at all interested in joining Nourish Your World, that's another fantastic group that Sondra runs that is just so good at including all kinds of different people from all kinds of different faiths and getting together as a community and growing. As always, my loves, thank you so much for showing up and for sitting with us today. If you watch this after we are no longer live, please just drop us a hashtag replay so we know that you were here and that you saw. And as always, we will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. EDT. Mwah. Thank you, loves.
Bye.